Interesting stuff. I think that clarifies that. So moving forward, this is also one of the many efforts of government trying to address all of the shortfalls that we see. Dr. Adedipe, moving forward, you know what happened, the fallout of the IMF spring meetings, projections and reprojections. We are moving towards the half of the year already. In a few weeks, it's going to be June, and that's going to be half 2025. What are you seeing? What are you seeing in your research and all of it? Tell us some of it.
Well, one thing I like in recent weeks, putting before any audience I address, is to be conscious that a lot of the narratives being put around about the Nigerian economy is actually not correct. And I will start from this perspective. Where the Nigerian economy is today is a lot better than where it was January 2024. And if you look at, number one, the indices, then number two, even the regular man on the street, that we have created a narrative making most Nigerians believe that we are poor. But unfortunately, the methodology being used to define poverty and then measure it and then tell us the outcome is patently wrong, because it disconnects from the culture in Africa. Now, in the advanced economies and most major economies, you measure poverty by what somebody earns. So the focus in poverty measurement is how much I earn in a month. If it is below a certain threshold, then the announcement is made that I'm poor, all right? Whereas in reality, in the African context, and I can even narrow it down to Nigeria, we are our brother's keepers. And I put it this way: assuming you and I meet at an event, Tolu, and I simply say, oh, I need about 5,000 naira, but unfortunately, I forgot my wallet at home. Tolu, can you please pay me 5,000 naira? Oh, no problem, doctor, have it. And I say, okay, by evening, I will transfer the money to you. And you say, look, doctor, forget about it, I have 5,000 naira. And that's the African culture for you, okay? So you can therefore define an African as poor based on how much he earns, but rather you should define whether it's poor or by how much he spends. So, and that is where there's an issue in the methodology. So we're based on that approach in the advanced economies. They have sold it to us, we have bought it, and so we keep saying that we are poor, whereas we're not poor. Evaluate the regular person you see on the road. The person announcing that they're poor, look at what the person is wearing. The person announcing that they're poor, just wait Monday to Friday, see what he or she does in the weekend. The lifestyle has not changed. So the challenge is that for those who create that narrative and popularize it on social media and the rest of it, all they are doing is propagating the agenda of the West. And let me be blunt here. Now, you depend on them to advise you. They can never advise you on how you will get it right, because if you get it right, the market for their own manufacturers will evaporate. They will never think of that. Okay? The other side is that if we do things right, the Nigerian economy that is strong, with people now understanding the reality of what is happening here and begin to think that way, will also affect the way you relate with them. So the narrative, therefore, they are eager to create it that we are poor. And so once that gets to your psyche, you begin to think that way and behave that way. Whereas in reality, poverty is not supposed to be defined the way we do it today in Nigeria, unfortunately. So the government also must be bold enough, okay, to tell us the reality without being apologetic. Oftentimes now, government puts out data. People say, oh, this data lacks integrity. And I ask them, how do you mean? I've been in this space for over 40 years. I know what Federal Office of Statistics was like in the 1970s and 80s. I know what the National Bureau of Statistics is today in terms of quality of the data they put out. So when people say it lacks integrity, I wonder, you conduct a survey in Lagos, you came up with your own inflation rate. How can that represent Nigeria as a nation? So you can't use what you get in the market survey in Lagos to represent inflation, estimate for the entire country. That is patently wrong. You are indeed extrapolating what will be considered as dubious analysis. That's what we call it in economics. That will be dubious analysis because you want to create a narrative. So these are the kind of things that our government and leaders must be bold about and be willing to put it before us. Let them continue giving information to us. Infrastructure in Nigeria, we keep on talking about deficit. What has happened in the last 10 to 15 years? There has been improvement, so we can't be talking about deficit infrastructure today the same way it was 15 years ago, as if nothing has happened in Nigeria. Now, these are the kind of things I expect our government to put out before us. How many of our airports today have world-class, terminal buildings? What were they like 10, 15 years ago? How about our roads? How many of the roads have been rebuilt now in the last 10 to 15 years? What is the travel time between, for example, Lagos to Ibadan or Kano to Zaria? I travel those roads, okay? So how many hours do we spend there now compared to what it was 5, 10 years ago? So these are the reality. Rail corridors that are active today, they weren't active 15 years ago. Zero rail movement in Nigeria. But today, there are rail corridors that are active and operating. So these are improvements in infrastructure. But each time everybody calls up, oh, Nigeria has infrastructure deficit. Forget about it. This country, we are not going anywhere. Who said so?
Indeed.
I mean, these are the issues for me.
Dr. Biodun Adedipe, always interesting talking to you, and there's never enough time to get your views around Nigeria's economy. But I must thank you, as always, founder, chief consultant,